All right, so get ready, because today we're going to dive deep into some really, big ideas.
Yeah.
We're going to be tackling Albert Camus and his philosophy of the absurd.
It's a good one.
You shared this great video with me, The Absurd Truth, Finding Meaning in a Meaningless World, from the Rational Mirror YouTube channel.
Right.
And I have to say, it's pretty thought-provoking.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
So our goal here is to unpack some of Camus' ideas and figure out this whole Sisyphus thing and see if this whole absurd thing is as bleak as it sounds, or if it can be maybe kind of surprisingly empowering.
Yeah, I think what makes Camus so interesting and compelling is that he really doesn't shy away from these big, almost like fundamental questions I think we all kind of have in the back of our minds.
Yeah. About
the meaning of life and what our purpose is here.
Right.
He acknowledges that desire that we all have to figure that out. Why are we here?
Yeah.
And then he kind of throws us for a loop.
Yeah.
And says, what if there is no inherent meaning? What if the universe just is?
So that's where this idea of the absurd comes in, right?
Exactly.
It's this clash between what we want from the world, meaning answers purpose,
right,
and then what the world actually gives us, which can often feel like just
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing.
It's this tension between what we need as humans.
Yeah.
And the universe just kind of being indifferent to that.
Yeah, and he describes this feeling so well in his book, The Myth of Sisyphus.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about this divorce between us and the world, this feeling of being like an alien in a place that just offers no explanations.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, I'm already feeling that, you know?
Yeah.
It's like when you're searching for your keys, you've checked every possible spot, and it's like the universe is playing some kind of cosmic joke on you.
For sure.
But then Camus, he throws in another kind of twist here, and he doesn't see the absurd as a problem to solve. Yeah. He's not trying to figure out a way out of it.
He's not looking for a solution. Yeah. He's saying, hey, this is just the reality. Let's just face it head on and see what happens.
Okay, so it's not about fixing this feeling of meaninglessness, but it's about almost embracing it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
I'm having trouble wrapping my head around that. Sure. Why wouldn't we want to escape the absurd?
Well, and that's what's so interesting.
Yeah.
This video talks about all these different ways that we as humans try to escape the absurd.
Right.
We turn to religion. We create these big philosophical systems to try to make sense of the world.
We distract ourselves.
Exactly.
Excellent.
We just don't want to face it.
Yeah.
So all of these different things that we do, they're just ways to avoid having to deal with these big existential questions.
So Camus is saying all of those things are basically just Band-Aids.
Yeah. He's not necessarily saying they're wrong or bad.
Yeah.
But I think what he's saying is true freedom is not trying to outsmart it or pretend it's not there.
Right.
Or cover it up with nice, comforting stories. It's about actually acknowledging it.
Facing it.
Facing it head on.
All right. I'm starting to get where he's going with this a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think before we go any further, before we dive into what happens next,
sure,
we have to talk about this guy that Camus keeps bringing up.
Yeah.
Sisyphus.
Yeah, it's Sisyphus.
Pushing the boulder up the hill for all of eternity.
For eternity. That's pretty bleak. It's a tough image.
It is. It is.
The myth of Sisyphus is so central to Camus's whole philosophy.
Yeah.
And just to recap for anyone who maybe needs a reminder.
Yeah.
Sisyphus was punished by the gods.
Right.
To endlessly push this boulder up a hill.
Yes.
And every time he gets close to the top, it rolls back down.
Right. It's the ultimate image of futility.
Yeah, for sure.
It's it would make anyone just lose hope.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy part. Camus puts this really positive spin on it.
Right.
He says, and I'm quoting here, one must imagine Sisyphus happy.
One must imagine Sisyphus happy.
Happy? How is that even possible?
Right. It's a very bold statement.
Yeah.
How can you find happiness in that type of situation?
Yeah.
That seems completely meaningless.
Right.
Camus says by accepting his fate,
yeah,
Sisyphus actually transcends it.
Okay.
And finds freedom within that struggle.
So instead of seeing this boulder as this burden,
right,
it almost becomes his thing, his challenge. I'm trying to understand how that translates into happiness.
Yeah. I think a good way to think about it is Sisyphus could choose to be completely miserable.
Yeah.
He could resent the gods.
Yeah.
Curse his fate.
Right.
But by continuing to push that boulder, even though it keeps rolling back down, he's making a choice.
Right.
He's choosing to rebel against the absurdity of the situation.
Okay.
Was refusing to be defeated by it.
So it's almost like he's saying, fine, you want me to push this boulder? I'll do it. But I'm going to do it on my own terms. And I'm going to find my own reasons for doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what he calls the absurd hero.
Okay.
It's not necessarily enjoying the task itself.
Right.
But it's finding meaning in that choice to not give up.
In the act of choosing.
Exactly.
Okay. I think I'm starting to get a handle on this absurd hero idea a little bit.
Yeah.
But how do we take Sisyphus and his boulder and apply that to our own lives?
Right.
I mean, I'm assuming most of us are not literally pushing boulders up a hill all day long.
Yeah, no, I think that's where it gets really interesting because I think Camus isn't just talking about these like physical burdens.
Right.
He's talking about all of the different challenges and struggles that we face.
Yeah.
The daily grind, the setbacks.
The disappointment.
The things that make us question, like, what's the point?
Right.
Why am I even doing this?
So he's saying all those things, those struggles, are kind of like our own personal boulders.
Exactly.
Like we all have them.
Yeah, we all have those tasks or situations in our lives that feel like a constant uphill battle.
Yeah.
It could be a job that you hate.
Yeah.
A relationship that's not working.
A creative project that's just
That's exactly
not coming together.
That feeling of pushing and never quite reaching the top.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that.
Right.
Okay, so if we're all kind of pushing our own, like, metaphorical boulders, then how do we find that same sense of meaning and maybe even joy that Camus is talking about with Sisyphus?
I think that's where the idea of embracing the absurd really comes into play.
Okay.
It's really about shifting our perspective, changing our relationship to that struggle.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing it as something to be avoided or overcome, what if we embrace it?
As part of the journey.
As part of the journey.
So instead of asking, how do I get rid of this boulder?
Yeah.
We're asking, how do I make pushing this boulder my thing?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's about finding a way to like own that struggle.
Yeah.
Find our own reasons for continuing to push, even when it feels completely pointless and frustrating.
And that's where the freedom is.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm trying to imagine what this looks like in a real life situation.
Sure.
Let's say someone's stuck in a job that they absolutely hate.
You're right.
They're pushing that boulder every day, but it's just draining them. It's making them miserable.
Yeah.
How would embracing the absurd help in that type of situation?
I think that's a great example.
Yeah.
Because embracing the absurd wouldn't be about just like accepting the misery.
Okay.
And just staying in that job forever.
Right.
It's more about acknowledging the reality of the situation.
Okay.
That feeling of being stuck.
Yeah.
And then saying, okay, what can I do with this?
So it's not about passivity. It's almost like about action.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's about taking ownership of the situation, even if you can't immediately change it.
Right.
Maybe it means finding small ways to make that job a little bit more bearable. Maybe it means using your free time to pursue your passions and things that you actually enjoy.
Or maybe it means using that as like fuel to find a job that you actually love.
It's finding that meaning or that spark within the struggle.
Yeah.
Even if the situation itself feels meaningless.
So it's like taking something that feels meaningless and making it meaningful.
Exactly.
Which is, that's really empowering.
And that's where the whole idea of creating your own meaning comes in.
Right.
Camus is saying there's no inherent meaning in the universe.
Yeah.
So we have this huge freedom and responsibility to create our own.
Wow, that's a big idea.
Yeah, it's a really big idea.
But how do we actually do that?
Right.
How do we create meaning in a world that feels meaningless?
That's a great question.
It is.
And Camus doesn't really offer a simple answer or a step-by-step guide.
Right.
But I think he gives us some clues.
Okay.
He talks about finding joy in those little moments, savoring those fleeting experiences that make life worth living, even when the world feels absurd.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we're shifting our focus from those big, overwhelming questions of why am I here?
Right.
To these smaller, like more immediate experiences of just being here.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like
It's about noticing a beautiful sunset or enjoying a cup of coffee or connecting with a friend, just taking a deep breath and appreciating that you're alive.
Yeah.
Those moments become so precious because they remind us that we're here, that we're experiencing this incredible and very absurd thing called life.
Okay, I'm starting to see how embracing the absurd can lead to a more like mindful, present way of living in the world.
I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And it's not just about that. Camus also talks about the importance of action, of rebellion, of saying yes to life, even when it throws us curveballs. It's about choosing to engage, to create, to love, to fight for the things that matter to us.
Even if those things might ultimately be like meaningless in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, why not? Why not just go for it? Why not try? Why not experience everything that life has to offer?
Exactly.
Even if there's no guarantee that it's going to lead to some like ultimate happiness or success.
I think that's a really powerful idea.
It is.
Especially in the world that we live in today.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
The video talks about how we're constantly being told to optimize our lives, find our purpose.
Find your purpose, achieve this ultimate happiness.
Yeah, but Camus is offering like a completely different perspective.
Yeah, he's reminding us that life isn't about finding the right answers or reaching some predetermined destination.
Yeah.
It's really about the journey, the struggle, the ups and downs, the moments of joy, the moments of despair, all of it.
It's about embracing all of it.
Yeah, the whole messy, chaotic, absurd experience of being human.
And figuring out a way to make it our own.
And figuring out how to make it our own. Exactly.
You know, there's this one part of the video that really stood out.
Yeah, I think I know what you're going to say.
It's right near the end.
Yeah.
And Camus just says...
He just says, the point is to live.
The point is to live. Like, it's so simple, but it's so powerful.
It's so simple and so powerful.
Yeah.
Like a punch to the gut.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, look, I don't have all the answers.
Right.
But you're here, you're alive, so go live.
Exactly.
It's really like a call to action.
It is a call to action.
It's an invitation to embrace the present moment and stop trying to search for this ultimate meaning.
Right.
And start experiencing the meaning that's already here all around us.
I think that's a much better way to live, personally.
It is. It's a much better way to live. It really is like a radical idea.
It is a idea.
Because we're always being told to strive for more and more and more.
Right. Bigger, better, faster, stronger.
Exactly.
But Camus is saying, no, just live.
Just be here now.
Just be here now.
Yeah, I love that.
It's enough.
It is. It's enough. Okay, I think I'm starting to get a handle on this whole absurd hero thing.
Yeah.
But how do we take this, like, Sisyphus and his boulder and apply that to, like, our own lives?
Right.
Most of us aren't, like, literally pushing boulders up hills every day.
Right. Yeah, I think that's where it gets really interesting, because Camus isn't just talking about these, like, you know, really obvious physical burdens.
Yeah.
He's talking about all of the different,
Challenges
and struggles that we face in our everyday lives. Yeah.
Like the daily grind.
The setbacks.
Disappointment.
The things that make us question, like, why am I even doing this? What's the point of any of this?
Right, exactly. So all those things, all those, like, struggles, those are kind of like our own personal boulders.
Exactly, yeah.
We all have them.
We all have them. We all have those tasks or those situations in our lives that just feel like this constant uphill battle.
Yeah, and it could be a job that you just absolutely hate, or a relationship that's just not working.
A creative project that's just not coming together.
Yeah, just that feeling of pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah.
And you just never quite get...
You never reach the...
Definitely relate to that.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so if we're all pushing our own, like, metaphorical boulders, then how do we find that same sense of meaning,
right,
and maybe even joy that Camus is talking about with Sisyphus?
Yeah, I think that's where this whole idea of embracing the absurd really comes in.
Okay.
It's about shifting our perspective.
Okay.
Changing our relationship to that struggle. Instead of just seeing it as something that needs to be avoided.
Right.
Or overcome, what if we just, like, leaned into it and said...
Embraced it as part of the journey.
Embrace it as part of the journey, yeah.
So instead of asking, how do I get rid of this boulder?
Right.
We're asking, how do I make pushing this boulder, like, my thing?
Yes, exactly. It's about, like, taking ownership of it.
Yeah.
Finding your own reasons for continuing to push, even when it feels completely pointless and frustrating.
And that's where the freedom is.
That's where the freedom...
Okay, I'm trying to imagine what this looks like in a real life situation.
Sure.
Let's say someone's stuck in a job that they absolutely hate.
Okay.
They're pushing that boulder every single day.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's draining them. It's making them miserable.
Right.
How would embracing the absurd help them in that type of situation?
That's a great example. I think embracing the absurd in that situation wouldn't be about just accepting that misery.
Okay.
And being like, okay, I guess I'm just going to stay in this job forever and be miserable.
Right.
It's more about acknowledging the reality of the situation, that feeling of being stuck, and then saying, okay, so what can I do with this?
So it's not about passivity. It's almost like it's about action.
Yeah, exactly. It's about taking ownership, even if you can't immediately change it. Maybe it means finding small ways to make that job a little bit more bearable. Or maybe it means using your free time to pursue the things that you actually enjoy and the things that make you feel alive.
Or maybe even using that as, like, fuel.
Exactly.
Like, find a job that you actually love.
It's finding that meaning or that spark within the struggle.
Right.
Even if the situation itself just feels like completely meaningless.
It's taking something that feels meaningless and making it meaningful.
Exactly. And I think that's where this whole idea of creating your own meaning comes in.
Yeah.
Camus is saying there is no inherent meaning out there in the universe.
Right.
We have this huge freedom and the responsibility, I think, to create our own.
Wow, that's a big idea.
Yeah, that's a really big idea.
But how do we actually do that? How do we create meaning in a world that feels meaningless?
That's a great question. And Camus doesn't really offer us like a simple answer or a step-by-step guide.
Right.
But I think he gives us a few clues.
Okay.
He talks about finding joy in those little moments, savoring those little fleeting experiences that make life worth living, even when the world feels absurd.
I like that. So it's almost like we're shifting our focus from those big, overwhelming questions of why am I here?
Right.
To just the more immediate experience of just being here.
Of just being here now. Exactly.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
It's like, noticing a beautiful sunset or just enjoying a cup of coffee, connecting with a friend, just taking a deep breath and being like, wow, I'm alive. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Those moments become so precious.
They do.
Because they remind us that we're here, that we're experiencing this incredible and very absurd thing called life.
I'm starting to see how embracing the absurd can actually lead to a more mindful, present way of being in the world.
I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And it's not just about that, Camus also talks about this importance of action, of rebellion, of saying yes to life, even when it throws us those unexpected curveballs.
Yeah.
It's about choosing to engage, to create, to love, to fight for those things that matter to us.
Even if those things might ultimately be meaningless in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, exactly. It's why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not just go for it?
Yeah, why not try? Why not experience everything that life has to offer?
Right, even if there's no guarantee.
Yeah.
That it's going to lead to some ultimate happiness or success or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's a really powerful idea, especially in the world that we live in today.
I was just thinking that. The video talks about how we're constantly being told to optimize our lives, to find our purpose.
Find your purpose. Achieve this ultimate happiness.
Right. But Camus is offering us a completely different perspective.
Yeah, I think he's reminding us that life isn't about finding the right answers.
Right.
Or reaching some predetermined destination.
Yeah.
It's really about the journey, the struggle, the ups and downs, the moments of joy, the moments of despair, all of it.
It's about embracing all of it.
Yeah, embracing the whole messy, chaotic, absurd experience of being human.
And figuring out how to make it our own.
Exactly.
There was this part in the video that really stood out to me.
Yeah, I think I know what you're going to say.
It's right near the end.
Yeah.
And Camus just says,
the point is to live.
The point is to live. And it's such a simple statement, but it's so powerful.
Yeah, it's incredibly simple, but so powerful, almost like a punch to the gut.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, look, I don't have all the answers.
Right.
But you're here, you're alive, so go live.
Exactly. It's like this call to action.
It is a call to action.
It's an invitation to just embrace this present moment.
Right.
And stop searching for this ultimate meaning that might not even be out there.
Right.
And just start experiencing the meaning that's already here all around us.
Which honestly is a much better way to live.
Oh, it's a much better way to live, for sure.
It is. It is a much better way to live.
Yeah.
It really is a radical idea in a world that's constantly telling us to strive and strive and strive.
It is a radical idea.
For more.
Right.
Bigger, better, faster, stronger.
Bigger, better, faster, stronger. Exactly. But Camus is saying, no. Just live.
Just be here now.
Just be here now. That's enough.
It is. It's enough. It's funny. We're talking about a philosophy that's supposed to be about meaninglessness, but this conversation feels anything but meaningless.
Yeah. That's the paradox of the absurd, isn't it?
Yeah.
By acknowledging that lack of inherent meaning, we kind of open ourselves up to the possibility of creating something meaningful.
Yeah. It's like Camus is giving us permission to let go of that constant, search for answers that need to, have everything figured out.
And I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
It frees us from that pressure to live up to some, external standard of success or happiness.
I think what resonates with me the most is this idea of finding joy in the moment.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the what ifs and the should have that we forget to appreciate what's right in front of us.
Right. That's the trap. We're always striving for something more, something better, that we miss out on the beauty of just what's happening right now.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But if we embrace the absurd, if we accept that there's no ultimate purpose or destination, then suddenly every moment becomes really, really precious.
Yeah, it's like that saying, the journey is the destination.
Exactly.
But how do we actually put that into practice?
Right.
It's easy to, talk about embracing the absurd, but how do we actually live it?
I think it starts with just a shift in perspective.
Okay.
Instead of seeing life as this problem that needs to be solved or a puzzle that needs to be figured out, what if we just saw it as an experience to be savored?
So instead of always asking why, we start asking what now?
Exactly. Yeah. What now? And that what now can be anything. It can be as simple as just noticing the warmth of the sun on your skin.
Right.
Or it can be as grand as, pursuing some huge passion project that lights your soul on fire.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned earlier that Camus also talks about this importance of action.
Yes.
And rebellion.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's not about just being passive or giving up on your dreams and goals.
Right.
It's about choosing to act.
It's about making that choice.
Yeah.
To create, to rebel against that meaninglessness by infusing your life with your own sense of purpose.
So it's not about just sitting back and saying, well, nothing matters, so why bother?
Right.
It's about saying, even if nothing ultimately matters, I choose to make this matter.
Yes, that's such a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about taking ownership of your choices, even in the face of all this uncertainty.
And saying yes to life, even when it feels absurd, even when it doesn't make sense.
Exactly. Exactly. And in that yes, in that act of choosing, that's where we create our own meaning.
We become our own absurd heroes.
We become our own absurd heroes.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like Sisyphus in that boulder. He could have given up.
Right.
But he chose to keep pushing. He chose to find his own reason.
His own meaning.
His own meaning, yeah.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the absurd, I think the biggest takeaway for me is this. Camus isn't offering us a set of rules.
Right.
Or a guaranteed path to happiness.
Yo.
He's offering us a way of thinking, a perspective that allows us to kind of embrace the uncertainty and absurdity of life.
Yeah.
And still find a way to live it fully and authentically and joyfully.
And that, I think, is a really, really powerful gift.
It is.
It's a gift that frees us from that burden of always searching for those ultimate answers.
Yeah.
And it allows us to create our own meaning in each moment with each choice that we make.
You shared this video with us hoping to explore this idea of the absurd and Camus' philosophy. And I think we've done that, but more importantly, we've started a conversation.
Yep.
We've kind of started to unpack what it means to embrace the absurd, to find meaning in a world that often feels meaningless. And that conversation, that exploration, that's something that you, the listener, can continue on your own.
Because the beauty of Camus' philosophy is that it doesn't give us any easy answers. It invites us to ask our own questions, to grapple with our own uncertainty, and find our own way of living a life that feels meaningful, even in the face of all that absurdity.
So what will your yes be?